Energy Minister to set up 8-member committee to investigate circumstances under which Bost allegedly sold about 5 million litres of contaminated fuel.
President Akufo-Addo holds bilateral talks with Zambian counterparts.
And security researchers discover a vaccine for the huge cyber attack that hit organizations across the world on Tuesday. Live on GBC24, it's time for News Hour. My name is Yoko Kwakutre.
I am Shirley Ann, and Robert Fimpo-Manso is our signer for tonight.
An 8-member committee is to be instituted to investigate the alleged sale of 5 million litres of contaminated fuel by the bulk oil storage and transportation company Bost. Addressing the media on the issue, the Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Agyarko, said the investigative committee will determine why that happened.
Meanwhile, the committee is to review the procedures which allowed contaminated fuel to be released onto the markets.
A report on the preliminary investigations conducted by the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) on the alleged release of 5 million litres of off-spec fuel from the Accra Plains depot of the bulk oil storage and transportation company revealed that Bost has so far evacuated a total of 471,000 litres of the contaminated product. Bost has, however, suspended evacuation in compliance with NPA instructions. The process of evacuation commenced on 20th June 2017. On 20th June 2017, 240,000 litres was evacuated, whereas 231,000 litres was evacuated. Reacting to the allegations, the Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Agyarko, said that as part of efforts by the ministry to ensure that the integrity of the quality of petroleum products supplied in the country is protected, an 8-member investigative committee would be set up to conduct a full-scale investigation into the alleged corrupt deal.
When the committee begins work is as soon as we get back to Accra, and as soon as the institutional representatives are delegated to us. The purpose of this committee is to resolve all the inconsistencies and inaccuracies and transform them to fiction, from fiction to fact. That is the purpose of the committee. I'll crave your indulgence that give the committee the chance to have laid before it all the notes, the evidence, the rumor, the contradiction, and the speculation. And then they will sift through it and come up with what will be a fact-finded report.
Mr. Boakye Agyarko, however, noted that the managing director of Bost, Mr. Alfred Obeng-Boateng, would not be interdicted immediately over the distribution of the 5 million litres of contaminated fuel onto the market.
I think that the matter, if I sit here today and adjudicate on it, will be prejudicial. It has to be taken. The only way you interdict somebody is when you are of the position that they will interfere with the investigation, or they will not be cooperative in the investigation. I think that we have to take it one step at a time and determine whether indeed for the committee to do its work, the acting managing director will be an interference or not. It shouldn't be presupposed. So we will get to that point and make that determination whether he steps aside in the meantime or stays.
The committee investigating the veracity of the alleged sale of contaminated fuel onto the Ghanaian market by Bost has 1 month to present its report. There are fears among motorists that if the alleged contaminated fuel is on the market, then they risk losing their vehicles if the authorities do not
The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has held bilateral talks with his Zambian counterpart, President Edgar Lungu, in Lusaka. He called for the removal of trade barriers among countries on the continent before the implementation of the free trade deal proposed by the African Union later this year.
Northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, gained independence in 1964. The former British colony has a population of more than 14 million. The country sits on Africa's largest copper reserves. President Akufo-Addo's visit is to further deepen bilateral relations between the two countries. Zambia's President Edgar Lungu commended President Akufo-Addo for the role he played in fashioning out the Ezuwini Consensus, a position on international relations and reform of the United Nations agreed by the African Union. He called for the implementation of Permanent Joint Commission on Cooperation, which serves as legal framework to address trade and investment concerns between the two countries.
It's about common good practices, Mr. President. What you do better, we should not hesitate to emulate. In your gold mining, you have had issues of taxation. In our copper mining too, we have had issues of taxation. The question is, how are we going about it? I think my Minister of Mine and yours should do exchange notes. Agriculture is the same thing.
President Akufo-Addo promised to deepen cooperation between the two countries.
Our leaders at the time, our first leader, Kwame Nkrumah, played such a prominent role in that, as indeed the first leader of Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda. The relationship between them was also a strong one. We have inherited also the strong relations that they established at the time, and I'm hoping that in our time, your time and my time, we will continue to build on it. This is why I think the opportunity there is in reviving the Permanent Commission for Cooperation is one that we should seize with both hands and allow us to develop the common relations that we need to do in our trade, in our investment, and so many of the common things that bind us.
President Akufo-Addo earlier laid a wreath at the tombs of 3 former Zambian presidents. These include tombs of the 5th President of Zambia, Michael Sata, who ruled from September 2011 until his demise on October 28, 2014, and 2nd President of Zambia, Frederick Chiluba, who led the country from 1991 to 2002 and died on June 18, 2011. The last tomb visited was that of Zambia's 3rd President, Levi Patrick Imwanawasa, who ruled from January 2002 until his death in August 2008.
So in Lusaka, President Akufo-Addo paid a courtesy call on Zambia's first president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, at his residence on the outskirts of Lusaka. Dr. Kaunda encouraged President Akufo-Addo to work hard to bring prosperity not only to Ghana, but Africa as a whole.
Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, also known as KK, served as the first president of Zambia from 1964 to 1991. President Akufo-Addo's presence at his residence was to show respect to him as part of his 3-day visit to Zambia. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda recalled the role Ghana played through Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah in ensuring independence for other African countries, including Zambia, as well as the formation of the Organization of African Unity, now the African Union. He urged President Akufo-Addo and all African leaders to continue with the good works of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah.
We have collaborated in various fields of human relations. This visit can enable the governments and peoples of Ghana and Zambia to expand and deepen our cooperation in various areas of human endeavor.
President Akufo-Addo underscored the importance of unity among African leaders in order to achieve economic emancipation.
It's extremely important that we continue to understand that we are one. Our circumstances are the same, and we have to continue to work together across these colonial boundaries to ensure that the welfare and progress of our people across the continent are the main considerations for those of us who have been blessed with the privilege of political leadership. We will continue to walk along the path of solidarity that you fashioned so many years ago. We think there's a lot that we can gain in the exchanges between our two countries. And I believe that in the time President Lungu and myself, we will work closely and assiduously to make sure that our people benefit from the relationship. And with the wider African country, we continue to do so.
President Akufo-Addo also promised to walk along the path of solidarity Dr. Kaunda fashioned out some years ago.
Attorney General Madame Gloria Kufu has called for the support and engagement of all to make the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor come to fruition. Addressing a stakeholders workshop in Accra, she said the establishment of the Special Prosecutor Office would mark a bold step in the march against corruption in the country.
Corruption burdens the most vulnerable and segments of the population whose basic human rights are violated when they are forced to pay bribe to access education or employment opportunities. It also derails the efforts of government to improve the lives of the citizenry. However, its impact is more devastating on developing countries like Ghana. To fight and rid off corruption in the country, the government has made available some processes that will lead to the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The office is expected to be an independent institution that will focus solely on dealing with corruption and judgment-debt cases. Presentations at the workshop highlighted on overseas models that could guide and inform decisions made to design the draft bill of Ghana's Office of the Special Prosecutor before it is laid before Parliament. Two legal advisors from the Office of the Special Prosecutor Queen's Counsel in the UK, Mr. Peter Beckett and Madame Caroline Lamte, led the presentation panel by recommending and elaborating on a model that requires accountability and transparency in the appointment to win public trust.
An anti-corruption policy involves not only taking people to court and dealing with them as criminals, it must have within it surely preventative measures so that people know that there is a law in place and know that they are potentially at risk.
The Attorney General, Madame Gloria Kufu, noted that the bill will be drafted in a way to cut off political interference in the work of the prosecutor and thereby make the office truly independent.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor will have the mandate to investigate and prosecute cases of alleged corruption under the Public Procurement Act 203, Act 663, and other corruption-related offences implicating public officers, political office holders, and their accomplices in the private sector, as well as trace and recover the proceeds of corruption.
When the bill for the Office of the Special Prosecutor is laid before Parliament and passed, the Office of the Special Prosecutor would start working on all cases with regards to acts of corruption. For GBC24, Ofeyiwa Darko reported.
Teenage pregnancy and data protection were the focus of discussion by the legislature today. The MPs condemned teachers who impregnate underage schoolgirls. The lawmakers had some hard questions for managers of Ghana's e-government system as they wondered if private data seeded for transaction are adequately protected. Using the Central Region as a case study, it was revealed that in 2016, 12,048 young girls got themselves impregnated. 301 of them were put in the family way by their teachers.
Teachers who are supposed to play the roles of parents in the schools, and are seen in our communities as role models, guardians and counselors are now the major perpetrators of these wrongdoings in various schools.
Every now and then we buy new funeral cloths, white, red, black, you name the colors. And your daughter comes to you to get something small for pad. And you know how important sanitary pad is of to a girl child. And you cannot give. In a way, you are telling your child to go outside and look for it.
when you look at the professions of those who impregnated these children, primary school teachers were 301. Tertiary school teachers, there were 48. Small-scale farmers, there were 986. Large-scale farmers, there were 62. Fishermen, there were 295. Clerical officers, 1. Health workers, 1. Lawyers, 4. No, we are only 4 MPs, so that wouldn't happen. Engineers, 11. Drivers, 676. Masons, 232. Other students who impregnated other students, 187. Carpenters, 93. Traders, 173. Motorbike riders, 35. Galamsey workers, 397.
It is pleasant to note that the Ghana Education Service has policies regarding these matters, to the extent that a teacher is not allowed to date a student in the school because there is a subordinate relationship. And in that case, it is an exploitation of that child.
Commending government's e-government initiative, the Member of Parliament for Jabing, Amapoma Boating, expressed concern about the management of personal data and called for the encryption of all vital information. Her comments came in the wake of recent cyber attacks on the UK Parliament.
The Data Protection Commission should tell us where and who has our information in all the e-government activities. Mr. Speaker, what I seek to draw this House's attention to is to ensure that government agencies responsible for data collection are made to strictly adhere to the 8 principles of data protection in its e-government activities.
What protocols do we have? Do we have a working cyber security protocol document for the nation, for our national grid, for the Flagstaff House, for Parliament? These are questions that we need to answer.
And the challenge is unfettered freedoms versus national security and safety limitations. Where do we stand as a country? That we must respect the right to free speech, the right to privacy of communication, but what is the implication of the right to privacy of communication on national security and on public safety, and probably even on the matter of morality?
So if we have these criminals take the lead, we will suffer as a country. I believe that the country should rather take a lead, legislate, and actually protect the data that belong to our state institutions.
In view of this, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Joseph Osei-Usu, invited the Ministers of Communication, Interior and National Security to brief the House on the subject.
World Vision International has suggested that the Criminal Offences Act 190 Section 14A be amended to increase from 16 to 18 the age for consensual sex. A study conducted by the organization discovered that young persons whom the law seeks to protect are themselves out of step with the law, hence the increase in child marriages. Emmanuel Amegashi reports.
The issue of child marriage is a global problem. According to the World Vision International, each year 15 million girls marry before the age of 18 around the world. In Ghana, the Demographic Health Survey shows that 4 women marry before the age of 18. The World Vision International's End Child Marriage Now, It Takes All campaign is a 5-year project to reduce child marriage by 50% in Ghana by 2021. World Vision International seeks to challenge social norms and eliminate harmful practices against children.
Child marriage occurs when one or both spouses are below the age of 18. It includes any marriage which occurs without the full and free consent of one or both parties. The Constitution and the Act prohibit marriage for anyone younger than 18. Contravention of this law is punishable by a fine up to 5 million cedis or a prison term of up to 1 year or both.
The country director of World Vision International, Mr. Dickens Tunde, enumerated what society can do as well as the media to end child marriage.
Strengthen national and regional houses of chiefs, traditional councils and religious leaders with adequate capacity to reform and abolish harmful traditional practices. Build community awareness of existing child marriage laws and formal prevention mechanisms and impact of child marriage. Collaborate with the Ministry of Education, improve retention of girls in schools through gender-friendly school environments and provision of scholarships for female students.
World Vision International called for individuals and institutions to help government to tackle the negative effects of child marriage in Ghana.
The Roads Ministry is to map out a strategy against recurrent flooding of the highway connecting Accra and Kaswa. A high-powered technical committee is to study and make recommendations on the situation. The case is being revisited following a GBC24 report that revealed the consequences of the flooding.
On Monday evening, courtesy your authentic news source GBC24, the world was hit with the reality of the levels of flood on sections of the Kaswa-Accra road. It was clear that the situation was a rippling effect of illegal crushing of the Wager Hills for gravel and the haphazard siting of buildings, most of which have no permit. The Sector Minister Kwesi Amoakwata, his team of engineers, and the Chief Executive of the Ghana South Municipal Assembly was shocked at the destruction of the Wager Hills, which draws sand and flood waters onto the road. Upon enquiry, it came to light that a study on the problem hills was done in 2004 and another done some 2 years ago, but no attempt has been made either by the Ghana Highways Authority or the Ghana South Assembly to arrest the situation.
The problem is much more than just the interception of the water at the top, because water or rainwater now is washing everything, all these areas which are open, all the way to the road. And the first thing we are requesting them, the Assembly, to do is to stop all the activities here, and then to take steps to start grassing and protecting the surface, because any size drain that you put anywhere to intercept will be silted within one rain.
The Roads and Highways Minister Kwesi Amoakwata gave a directive to stop the flooding, which has become an annual ritual.
This is a technical problem that must be considered and looked at by people with technical mind. And whatever we have to do, we start it to resolve this matter. Let us walk the talk. I do not believe in this kind of ritual, ceremonial, we walk down here with the pressmen and we come around, talk, and when we leave, that is the end of it.
The team then moved to the old barrier near the SCC junction, which also was inundated with flood to the point of floating vehicles. This choked channel was identified by the engineers as cause to Monday's flood, but it also came to light that the entire area has been designated as a Ramsar site, which means no human activity was allowed there. Unfortunately, a litany of shops and residential facilities have lined up the waterways, causing the flooding on this stretch of the Kaswa-Accra road. Clearly, these shop owners are no longer operating here, perhaps for the fear they might lose their lives to the flood one day. The sector minister and the municipal chief executive for the area took hard decisions, including demolition, if that would prevent any flood disaster.
If anything is started here, put it down, and you have the authority to do that. And you must be bold, you must be brave enough to do it. Okay, if people are doing the wrong thing, please let us implement the law. People will be crying, people will be wailing, people will be doing all sorts of things. But the most important thing is that such activities can bring about, even greater hardship.
You have the engineer here, and will make sure that if they don't have permit, they will not build. Yeah, the law must work.
The rains have just begun, and if this is the levels of the flood waters on the Kaswa-Accra road, then the sector ministry has a job on its hand to make this road a true West African highway and not a road to flood disaster. Mto Bibini Mto, GBC24, Accra.
The Ghana Veterans Association has donated some items to the widow of ex-serviceman Private Odate Lamte at a residence at Adedenkpo, a suburb of Accra. Private Odate Lamte was one of the 3 unarmed ex-servicemen shot and killed by the colonial police in 1948 near the Christianborg Castle at Osu in Accra.
The donation by the Veterans Administration Ghana is to assist in the upkeep of Madame Susanna Dede Aite. The items included 50 kilograms bag of rice, vegetable oil, canned fish, 2 pieces of cloth, headgears and an undisclosed amount of money.
We didn't know about her existence. We never knew that she's alive until last year when we got to know of her. We paid her courtesy call and we realized that she needs a few things, particularly food items. That is not the main reason why we are here this morning. We are here to use these items as a conduit to get to the public to know that, yes, indeed, we have a personality such as the widow of Private Odate Lamte alive, who indeed needs the support of the general public.
The head of the family, Mr. David Lamte, who received the items on her behalf, said although the family has been given a certain level of recognition, there was a lot more to be done. The 97-year-old widow of Private Odate Lamte also had this to say.
I want a place of my own that I will be able to leave for my daughter when I'm no more.
The only daughter of Private Odate Lamte, Abigail Kushi Lamte, also appealed for more support for her family.
We'll be right back after this break. Please stay on. Still to come in this package, Energy Minister Mr. Boache Jakun assures the public of sustained power supply countrywide. Statistics from the Health Ministry indicate many people die from cancer because they cannot afford treatment. And live grenades dropped on the Supreme Court building in Caracas, Venezuela from a helicopter. Please stay tuned.
Hello, good evening, and good to have you join us for the business segment of the news. I am Dorothy Ajimai. West African countries will by 2020 have the ECO as its single currency. Speaking at the West African Institute for Financial Economic Management YFM Forum in Accra, the Director General of YFM, Mr. Akpam Ekpo, said although the roadmap to a common regional currency faced some challenges, the ECO could prove to be the magic wand for integration.
The idea of economic integration in West Africa became imperative by the different levels of growth experienced by member states. Decades down the line, the path to integration is still being met with several challenges. At a forum, an advisor to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Madam Catherine Ashley, said a number of countries do not want to relinquish their nationalistic controls on some aspects of their economies, which has slowed down the process of integration.
there have been several challenges ranging from lack of political commitment to more substantial issues of meeting the convergence criteria and harmonization of policies and regulatory framework, which all are fundamental to successful integration. The challenges aside, some progress has been made in the area of common passports, abolishment of visa requirements for citizens, common custom arrangements, establishment of the West African Parliament, and the West African Health Authority, just to name a few.
The Director General of YFM, Mr. Akpan Ekpo, said the low performance of West African economies has made it difficult for a monetary convergence zone to be reached. He added that all is set for the deadline of establishing the ECO to be met.
WAMI in Ghana is charged with the mandate of trying to ensure that we have convergence of currency on the Anglophone side. You know, the Francophone don't have a problem, they have CFA. So it's just that at this point in time, not all the countries meet all the criteria, okay? But they now have what they call the ECOWAS single track approach. So by 2020, hopefully, there will be integration. You cannot overcome all the challenges. You have to move ahead and then you address somewhere you are there.
The forum was attended by participants from 9 West African countries and funded by the African Capacity Building Foundation.
The Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Jako, has assured Ghanaians of government's commitment to adopt new strategies to sustain power supply across the country. The minister said this at a performance review meeting at Ada in the Greater Accra region.
Ghana's total energy supply has to grow significantly to help achieve the development agenda goal. The challenge is how to increase the energy supply and also expand the energy infrastructure in the country in a way that is sustainable. The Energy Ministry says the country is well endowed with a variety of energy sources that can sustain the government's agenda of transforming the economy through industrialization. However, this can hardly be achieved without proper institutions and structures, and one of such is the Advisory Board for the Ministry of Energy. At a retreat in Ada, where the Ministry of Energy reviewed its performance for the past months, the Sector Minister, Mr. Boakye Jako, seized the occasion to inaugurate the Advisory Board. The board includes the Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Jako, the Deputy Minister for Energy, Mr. Joseph Kujo, the Chief Director of the Ministry, Professor Thomas Akabza, and other representatives from GREDCO, JNPC, Petroleum Commission, and Chamber of Bulk Distribution Companies.
The board is to advise the minister on adjustments in policy directions, planning objectives, and operational strategies.
In line with the Civil Service Act 1933, PNDCL 327, Section 39 stipulates that there shall be a ministerial advisory board. The advisory board is to collaborate with the ministry in addressing issues pertaining to the industry and also assist in efforts to increase energy generation. For GBC24, Oferiwa Dakon reported.
The GCB Bank has paid a dividend of 21.5 million Ghana cedis to government. This is against the 2015 figure of 18.68 million Ghana cedis, representing a jump of 2.82 million Ghana cedis.
The 21,511,272.94 Ghana cedis that GCB Bank paid as dividend to government for the 2016 operational year represents a significant increase over the payments made from 2012 to 2016. In those years, the bank paid 7.29 million in 2012, 18.11 in 2014, and 21.51 in 2016. Presenting the check, the managing director of GCB Bank, Mr. Anselm Reisoa, said the increase in dividend to government is a reflection of the bank's robust performance in the year under review.
We are hopeful that we should be able to continue to replicate or even exceed this amount next year.
The Minister for Finance, Mr. Kenneth Oriata, in expressing satisfaction with the bank's honesty urged the other state-owned companies and joint venture companies with government's equity to emulate the example of GCB Bank.
Technology is going to be really key for you to play the role that you have to play. And so things like payment systems are going to be key. I don't know where mobile technology is going to go with regards to how you will relate to them so that money transfers, etc., are done well. I think the other role that maybe we haven't capitalized on is really what to do with remittances and how that could be a way in which we raise a lot more capital for your operations in terms of foreign exchange or even for the country, because we always talk about $3 to $5 billion worth of remittances coming, but it's so atomized. We haven't figured out a way in which we really can make sure we aggregate it and then do something with it and create a product. Because here people get the money here and they come and take it out immediately, but it's possible that they may not need all of it immediately if there's faith and confidence in the systems of giving it back to them. So I think we need to look at that.
Management of GCB Bank say, going forward, they are committed to supporting government by doing their best to position the bank to an international standard.
The interbank markets, the dollar is trading at 4 cedis 35 pesos with a pound pegged at 5 cedis 56 pesos. The euro is also selling at 4 cedis 91 pesos. Now let's have the prices of gold, cocoa and that of light crude. And that's it for the business segment. We have more news coming up after this break. Please do stay.
To this segment, statistics available at the Ministry of Health indicate that many people battling cancer die because they cannot afford the cost of treatment. Stakeholders in the health sector say this can be averted if government takes steps to bear some of the cost of treatment. They are therefore calling for a national policy on cancer treatment in Ghana.
Although doctors say a lot of cancers are treatable if detected earlier, there is a rise in the disease worldwide. High cost of treatment is one of the main challenges facing those suffering from the disease. Many people battling with the disease have lost their lives along the way because they are unable to afford the huge cost of treatment. Kingsley Bennett has been battling with cancer for the past 5 years. Though the disease is now under control, he said, there is a lot of money involved in the treatment of cancer.
You need a lot of support from the family. I'm sure our doctors are there to support. You have to make a lot of changes to your lifestyle. It's a tough journey. Going through the chemotherapy, going through the radiotherapy, it's not an easy journey. But once you psych yourself that I like to survive, I like to live, it's the desire to live.
The founder of Cancer Connect Ghana, Gloria Youngson, called for a nationwide policy for cancer treatment in Ghana.
We want the government to dedicate a lot on cancer and then put a budget to it, because we know and a lot of studies have proved that in the next 10 years, cancer is going to overtake malaria, HIV and cholera combined.
Prostate cancer is one of the diseases found only in men. The prostate gland becomes cancerous when some of the cells in the prostate becomes abnormal and start to cause a lot of harm to the body.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health is to roll out a structured program that will help reduce disease prevalence in the country. It will cover communicable and non-communicable diseases. The Health Minister, Dr. Menu, indicates that the move is to promote healthy lifestyles. It was at Domahinkro in the Bnafo region that the Healthy Districts campaign was launched.
The Healthy District campaign seeks to address the pertinent health issues facing inhabitants of Domahinkro and its environs. Though maternal and child health remains a priority for the Doma Municipal Health Directorate, most communities in the area are saddled with high rates of maternal mortality, low immunization coverage, the lack of vaccine refrigerators in hospitals, and laboratory services, among other health challenges. The Healthy District campaign, which is an extension of the Child Health Promotion Week, operates with the slogan, Healthy Child, Start Right from Total Growth and Development. The Minister of Health, Mr. Koku Ajimai Menu, whose statement focused on healthy living, intimated that his ministry will introduce preventive health care to abate the challenges within the health sector.
We should then ensure that our surroundings, the water that we drink, food we eat and our markets are kept clean so as to avoid sickness.
Mr.
Ajimai Menu announced government's readiness to remold the National Insurance Scheme to benefit all. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Madam Otiko Afisa Jabba, shared some thoughts on ways of keeping a healthy family with emphasis on balanced meals for children. She said, as part of making quality healthcare accessible to children, the ministry has enrolled 250,000 children onto the NHIS. On the sidelines of the campaign, a health screening exercise and practical cooking tutorials were performed.
And that's it for the health sector. And in sports, the Ghana League Club Association GALCA has officially presented the President's Cup Trophy to the Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia at the Flagstaff House in Accra. The presentation was ahead of the clash between arch rivals Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak on Sunday.
The President's Cup was designed in 2003 by the Ghana League Clubs Association GALCA to replace the then Republic Day Cup. The objective is to honor the sitting president of the country through football, which is the passion of the nation. Since then, the occasion has become part of the association's annual calendar. Kumasi Asante Kotoko will be hosting Accra Hearts of Oak at the Barbara Sports Stadium for the first time for the Grand Trophy. Ahead of the match on Sunday, officials of the Ghana League Clubs Association has presented the trophy to the Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, at the Flagstaff House. The delegation was led by the Youth and Sports Minister, Mr. Isaac Isiama, and directors from the Sports Ministry, the National Sports Authority, and executives of GALCA. The chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, GALCA, Mr. Kujofiano, promised the Vice President a match befitting the presidency.
For the first time, we are playing the President Cup in Kumasi, and with the kind support of our proud sponsors, UBA, NFD, Star Times, and the rest, we are giving each club an appearance fee of 50,000 Ghana cedis. The winner will be taking an additional 10,000 Ghana cedis, in addition to the trophy and the medals. And it is our expectation, our highest expectation, that His Excellency will be there to grace the occasion for us.
For the first time in the history of the bank, we decided that, look, we'll throw our weight behind Kaka, just to show our support for the acceptance of the brand in Ghana. So we want to thank the Republic of Ghana as a whole, and to thank everybody here present. And I want to promise you, as far as I remain the MD of this bank, we'll continue to support you. We'll continue to support football in Ghana.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia, assured the delegation of the support of the presidency.
This particular President's Cup, which is the first of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's presidency, it means a lot, and I think it is something that we will be looking forward to. And you've chosen two clubs who really epitomize competitiveness in Ghana's sports industry, Hearts and Kotoko. You couldn't have it to be butu-butu, as they say in Kumasi, on Sunday. And I want to entreat the public to show up in their numbers in Kumasi. It is going to be a fun match, as all Hearts and Kotoko matches inevitably are. And we are doing this to honor the country, to honor the president. And so let's give it our fullest support.
The President's Cup competition, which is slated for Sunday, 2nd July 2017 in Kumasi, is sponsored by the United Bank for Africa.
Accra Hearts of Folk this afternoon suffered a painful defeat at home to a resurgent Ash Gold side under coach C.K. Akuno. Here are results of matches played on match day 20. Adansoma Liberty 3, Bolga All Stars 0. Asugakope Wafa 1, Elmina Sharks 0. Accra Hearts of Folk lost by 1 to Ash Gold. Elwak Stadium Inter Allies 1, Bechem United 0. Ebusia Dwarfs 0, Kotoko 1, Wild Stars 1, Tema Youth 1, Adriana Stars 1, Great Olympics 0. Your lightweight world champion Emmanuel Gameboy Tego will return to the ring on August 26 at the Bukom Boxing Arena. Tego will be making his first defense of his IBO lightweight strap against WBA rated number 5 Argenis Mendes. Tego won the belt last December when he defeated South Africa's Izonke Fana by a unanimous decision. Mendes 4 years ago won the IBF World Super Featherweight belt after he reigned supreme over Juan Carlos Salgado. And that's it for your sports.
Hello, good evening. This segment is brought to you by Cowbell. My name is Valerie Danso. Gospel group preachers say Ghanaians are gradually accepting their style of music. Urban gospel, this they say, has made it easy for them to break through into the tough music industry. The music group were guests on our showbiz segment earlier.
Now what am I supposed to do, man? I ain't here to play. If they're thinking I'm irrational,
know that I am here to say I am crazy for God, crazy for God, crazy.
Gospel group preachers are known for their urban style of music. Urban gospel uses modern musical forms with strong influence from many forms of secular music, which includes rap. This is an alternative to traditional gospel music.
Well, guess what? I rap Jesus and we the preachers. I operate at higher tone. You can't beat me. You only house.
They share the challenges that come with their style of music.
In the initial stages, it was very strong. We even got to the point where we were driven out of some churches. So this time around, we feel like the acceptance is better, is getting there. And we have a whole lot of young people that you've probably not even heard of who are doing urban gospel.
Preachers tell us about the upcoming album and their new single titled Above.
The album we are coming up with this year is the Legacy album.
Okay.
Yes. We've been releasing a few some singles. Last December we went back to back with some releases, like giving them a song every week, and then we went on a break and we came back and then we gave them a banger titled Above.
Above.
Yes.
Okay.
And Above is based on Psalm 75 verse 6 to 7, which says that promotion comes not from the east or the west, nor from the wilderness. So we want to just acknowledge God for placing us where we are now.
The music group, who are yet to release a video for the new song, have won a number of awards for Music Video of the Year at the 2015 Foresight TV Music Video Awards and Afro Rap Artist of the Year at the 2014 Africa Gospel Music Awards in the UK.
Do your body's game in Timchina for Betty Wong Pa.
I'm born again, feel fresh like it's 7 a.m. I walk around, I see demons and I cause mayhem. Now sin got them moving from color to gray.
Next up, some tidbits.
That's it for the weather update. See you tomorrow. And that's all we have by way of news for now.
We'll be back at 10 p.m. with News Tonight.
Good evening.